Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Tonight, I just got done watching the newest film, The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins, who's also done things like Longlegs with Nicolas Cage. And let me just say, this movie was fucking wild. In this film, two little twin brothers inherit this toy monkey from their father, who is a pilot and found it amongst his travels, traveling to all these different places. However, shortly after they get this gift from him, he winds up abandoning the family because he finds out that the monkey itself was evil. They don't know this, however, and over the course of a couple years, they learn that anywhere they go with this monkey, people around them die violently. They're never at risk. They're never in danger from this monkey. It's just everybody that they care around them is. And they learn this over the course of a couple years and decide to dispose of this monkey and hide it somewhere where no one can ever find it, and it won't pose a threat to anybody ever again. However, 25 years later, while they're both adult men, the monkey finds its way back to them, and all hell breaks loose while they have to try and figure out how to, again, get rid of this monkey and stop it from killing everyone around them. There are a lot of plot twists in this movie and things that I don't want to spoil here, so I'm going to be really scarce on more details of the story, but that is the essence of this film. It's essentially this toy monkey that is essentially possessed by the devil, and anywhere it goes, everyone around the owners of this monkey dies, and they have to try and figure out how to get rid of it. That being said, this movie was billed as a horror thriller, and it is in fact not that. And I need to subvert everyone's expectations watching this review if you are interested in going into this movie. This movie is, first and foremost, a satirical comedy with hyper-violent deaths in it. That's exactly what this movie is. Now, I was reading a quote that Stephen King was saying that comedy and horror are like twin brothers in and of itself. They go hand in hand. And that's true because on one hand, when you have a movie that's funny and it makes you laugh, then it's a lot easier to scare you 5 seconds later because it pulls your guard down, as opposed to a movie that's just scary through and through. You kind of keep your guard up and you prepare for all of the horror that's about to come. Stephen King likes when movies have a little bit of horror sprinkled in there because it makes it easier to scare people. This movie is not a horror film. There is never a moment where I was scared. There's no jump scares. There's no intense dread building moments. There are moments where you know someone's about to die because they're about to do something stupid, and you know that the monkey just did his little drum thing, and when the monkey bangs on its drums, it's pretty much telling you, I'm about to kill somebody. So you know the person that's about to die is about to die, and it's not scary. You're kind of just waiting to see what creative way they thought of to kill this person. And on that aspect, they thoroughly entertained me. This movie is really funny, and it's not a horror film that's trying to be scary, but because it's so over the top, people are laughing at it. Like, no, genuinely, this is a comedy film where people are saying really funny shit and doing really funny things and making you laugh, and then that leads to a really horrific death that you don't laugh at, but it's really cool to watch because of how creative it is. And it's essentially you're laughing and waiting until the next inventive death scene, and that's what this movie is. My entire theater was cracking up at moments that clearly Osgood Perkins wanted us to crack up in. So in that, he delivered. I just think that the marketing for the movie is a little misleading because it does look like it's gonna be scary, and it's not. It's not even trying to be scary. Like I said, it's a comedy with really gross violence in it, with people getting their faces melted off and dismembered and bodies literally blowing up and guts exploding all over the place. It's not for the faint of heart, and if you have a queasy stomach, it's definitely not for you because there is some fucked up deaths in this film. One in particular, which isn't a spoiler because they did show it on TV during the advertisements for it, but there's a scene where a person gets trampled to death while they're sleeping in a sleeping bag, and when they open the sleeping bag to look at the remains, it literally just looks like canned tomato soup. Like, it's just guts and disgusting red paste, and it's really fun, but again, if you are queasy at stuff like that, this movie is definitely gonna push your buttons. Now, I don't know who the two little boys are that played the twin brothers, but when they grow up, they are played by Theo James, and he is playing two totally contrasting characters. One brother is a total asshole and wants nothing to do with this monkey, and the other brother also wants nothing to do with the monkey, but he's kind of sheltered. He's grown up kind of afraid of this thing, and he had a family that he pushed away because he was so afraid that one day the monkey would find its way back to him and his family would be in danger. So he's kind of a recluse, and once the monkey rears its head again and both brothers figure out that the monkey's back, it plays for a really interesting dynamic with both brothers bouncing off of each other. You don't get them interacting a lot with each other in the film because of the story that I don't want to spoil here, but it makes for a really compelling final act where they do come face to face with each other, and Theo James was clearly having a blast in this movie. This is one of my favorite roles I've ever seen him in. I've seen him in all the Divergent films and his weird Netflix film with Forest Whitaker. I loved him in The Gentleman, but that was really the first time I saw him in a role that I genuinely liked him in, and this just elevated it to the next level. He is fantastic in this film. Tatiana Maslany plays the twin brothers' mom when they're really young, and she does a great job here, which is much needed after her train wreck of a Disney Plus series in She-Hulk. She is wonderful in this film. And earlier I did say that this film is a satirical comedy, and I say that because there are a lot of times where there are characters in this movie that are so outlandishly over the top that I'm like, it's almost like Osgood Perkins is trying to make fun of these types of people. At one point in time, someone dies and everyone attends the funeral for it, and at the funeral is like this 21-year-old priest who's also stoned out of his mind, and like he literally gets up to the altar, looks at the dead body, and he's like, oh fuck, and he turns back and he has no idea what to say to these people, so he's just like, in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and the wise words of Jesus Christ, it is what it is. There's a scene where Tatiana Maslany is giving a speech to both of her sons who just witnessed somebody die, and they're mortified at the thought of death being this thing, and she's trying to calm them down and comfort them, but the speech she gives them, she's essentially like, you know, everyone's gonna die someday, I'm gonna die, you guys are gonna die, some people die peacefully, some people die hog-tied up in a basement with duct tape on their mouth, screaming for somebody to help, but nobody hears them. And I'm just like, holy shit, who says that to their kids? But there's a lot of characters like that in this movie that are like so over the top, outlandish, and like the things they say are so wild that it felt like one of those scary movies. And I don't mean like a genuinely scary movie. I mean like the ones with the Wayne brothers where they're literally making fun of people. This movie had a ton of those types of characters in it. So it really is, at the end of the day, a satirical comedy with just really over the top violent kills, and in that aspect I had a wildly good time watching it. For the first 20 minutes I was kind of like, this isn't anything like what I thought it was going to be based off of the trailers, but once I realized what Osgood Perkins was trying to do, I was able to kind of tune in to what this genre was and just enjoy it for what it was. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. The kills were plentiful. It's not like there's a shortage of kills here. There was probably like 30 people that died in this movie, and they all die in very unique ways, and they clearly had a blast constructing those ways, and I had a blast watching them. I love the performances. I was laughing my ass off, and not unintentionally, very intentionally, they wanted me to, and they succeeded. The whole concept and the lore of this monkey is not really explored that much, but it is a really cool villain, and the mystery behind it and what it is left me really intrigued, and I do hope we get to see more here. This is based off of a short story that Stephen King did years ago that they kind of fleshed out here into a feature-length film, and I thought it worked really well. I do really hope they continue this with a follow-up because they do kind of leave it open-ended. There is some supporting characters in this film that are these big A-list cameos that are only in it for like 2 to 3 minutes. So again, I feel like they wouldn't have brought them into this movie if they didn't have plans for them for future installments. So I hope the movie does well and we get to see them down the line. I won't say who it is, but it's somebody that Theo James's character does not like right from the get-go of this film. Anyway, guys, I really just wanted to let you know what you're getting into if you are interested to see this movie. It is not a horror film. It is a comedy satire with super high violence. If that sounds something that's like right up your alley, I think you're gonna really enjoy this film. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. It really landed the plane for me. It was a great time. I highly recommend it for anyone that's a fan of just really violent stuff like Final Destination, Hostel, anything with really gross violence, and also someone that just wants to laugh. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you even know this movie was a thing? Have I given you a reason to go out and see it this weekend? Maybe my explanation of it made you kind of put off from it. You don't want to see it now. I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.